What's up?
What's going on, man?
What's your question?
Oh, have you had any liberals on here?
You know what? That's a great question, and I have a great answer for that. The answer is like a left leaning liberal, clearly left leaning
Yeah.
liberal. I have not, but I'm glad you brought that up too, because I've actually thought about this. I thought about it a lot yesterday and a little bit the day before. So what? Um, Let me unpop my collar. So Charlie Kirk welcomed leftists.
Yeah.
That was I believe one of his primary goals was to bring the country together, the left and the right, move them both towards the center. I don't think I don't think he was a hardcore crusader. You see these hardcore crusaders on the internet saying, no more. We cannot tolerate any more. We got to do a full reset. No more gay marriage. No more this crap. No more that. He was not like that at all. He
Yeah.
actually wanted to hear their ideas, which is important because you need to know what people are thinking. And he wanted to let them know. He wanted to basically break down why people think the way they think, because what that can do is that can expose the flaws in their logic or show them why they think that. Like, why do you think that? Because you're jealous? Do you want to tax the billionaires because you're jealous, or do you have an actual reason that would help? Like, what are you saying? So I have seen a lot of people understandably react to Charlie Kirk's assassination with, I'm done with all leftists. I'm not going to tolerate anything from them anymore. I'm not going to talk to them, this or that. Again, I understand that. And to an extent, I'm doing that too. Like I'm not going to go out of my way to hang out with someone who celebrated Charlie Kirk's death. Not not in an attempt to change culture to the far right where we have zero tolerance for any other ideas, because I don't think that's what America is about. It's not what it was founded about. In fact, what Charlie Kirk was doing exactly what the founding fathers did all the time. They debated, they discussed, they wanted to get their point of view across because they thought it was right. And I don't really want to become the person who just shifts to the far right and only talks to people on the right, because one, I don't think that's entertaining. I think it you're only going to get a small group of people wanting to listen to your podcast or what you have to say. And also, I don't think it's terribly interesting just to hear people who agree with each other call the other side stupid all the time. I think it's interesting to hear the ideas. And also, if I want to be a net positive, and I do, I need to not shut out the other half. And so what I was thinking, because I told you I had that leftist musician comment on my Charlie Kirk post, basically trying to justify his death. And my first instinct, my natural instinct, was to begin insulting him and demonizing him. But then I collected my thoughts and I talked to him as if he hasn't done anything wrong to me, as if he just has an idea. And that, man, that's really hard to do. I know you've encountered that before, where your first instinct is wrath. And you know what? Wrath is a sin. We forget there's only 7 deadly sins, and wrath is one of them. So I want to try to be. I wanted to try to lean more Charlie Kirk than Gavin McInnes. They both have a place. I listen to far right conversations all the time. I think they're helpful for me because they help me understand why they think that, and also if I think they're doing something bad, I can comment on that. But if I don't know what they're doing, I can't comment on that. So, long story short, I guess I would love to have leftists on the show. The problem is a lot of the leftists right now, they assume, since I am on the right, I'm clearly on the right. I'm not like proud of it, but if an objective person just looked at my social media feeds and stuff, they'd be, oh, he's on the right. Like, yeah, I get it. But I think that they would assume that if they come on here, all I'm going to do is make them look dumb or yell at them or accuse them of things. And I could do that, and it would probably be fun, but I would much rather have them on here so we could have logical discussions. And I think that's the only way you're going to change them, because if the far right now, they want to intimidate them into silence. They don't want them to have jobs. They don't want them to have platforms to speak. You'll never ever change them. In fact, that's how you get more Antifa. That's how you get, like, man, they would be impressed or oppressed in that situation. That's literal oppression. Society won't let me talk, won't let me work. That ain't the answer, man. So I'm more, if you know someone on the left that wants to discuss something, let them know. We'll bring them on the show. I'm fairly certain we can do a three-screen thing here if you want to do that. I'm all for it.
Right. I was gonna say, you wanted to bash that dude and then you stop, and that's your faith working on you, brother.
Yeah.
That's your faith working on you, because that's Jesus speaking to you, because Jesus, his thing was, hey, don't be so quick to speak, and don't be so quick to react. Be more quick to listen. And so, that's a big thing for me right now is, when somebody says something that pisses me off or whatever, I immediately want to just go into this, you idiot, blah, blah, blah. But then it's like, I have to look at things differently now. And part of it's because I'm married, part of it's because I own a business, part of it's because I have kids who are having grandkids, or who are having kids, which makes me a grandpa now. I just have to look at things differently. And it's not because I feel like I have to. It's just that's the way my life is leading me. I'm having to look at things differently. And so I am now looking at things as a or as a learning moment, not a teaching moment. And so, like, whenever somebody says something that's just off the rails or really ridiculous, I look at it and I'm like, what can I learn from this? Like, one, I don't want to be like this person. I don't want to say these kind of things. But like, is there something to this? Like, what made this person like think that way? Like, what would ever make someone think that it was cool that Charlie Kirk died? Like, that was the most respectful man. Like, he debated you, he listened to you, he let you speak, and he invited you onto his platform. And then whenever you came to his home court, he would tell his people, hey, let this guy talk. We're gonna show him respect that they don't show us. That speaks a lot about that speaks a lot about, that man's character. I know a lot of people on the right didn't like Charlie Kirk because of his, Israel stance at the beginning. But towards the end, he started to question Israel. And then that's when a lot of the people on the right started, you know, um, saying, hey, this is good. But the right is so divided in the fact that you're either on the right and you're anti-Israel, or you're on the right and you're pro-Israel. And it's so weird that, it's so weird that that's what divides us, because that should not be what divides us at all. If you're a Christian and you're a conservative, you should be very anti-Israel. Those people have done nothing good for us, and they will never do anything good for us. They're the ones that are driving all the hatred right now, the racial divide. I mean, I saw a thing the other day where it said DEI was created by the Jews to help, fund this whole racial thing. And do you know that 76% of DEI hires are white liberal women?
Of course.
Only 6% of DEI hires are black people. So tell me how that's really DEI. And
Man,
so
there's gotta be more fat black women benefiting from DEI. There has to be.
there's not. That's what's crazy, though. There's
I
not.
see them
That's what's
in
crazy.
positions
That's
all the
what's
time.
insane. That's what's insane. But here's the part that I'm getting at. The right will argue over little trivial things like DEI, when in the grand scheme of things, that means nothing. It means nothing. What we should be arguing over is right and wrong. And
Which
if you're
DEI falls into that category.
in some ways, it does. It does.
And it's
You should
it's a
not get
meritocracy.
hired.
It's
Yeah,
either
you should not get
meritocracy or
hired.
no.
You should not get hired because you don't qualify.
It's wrong to put someone ahead because of their skin color or gender when the other person that you bypassed was clearly better and more quick worked
Exactly.
harder.
Exactly.
That's
And
morally wrong.
exactly. But I've been accused before of not hiring people of different colors. And to which my question was, well, what am I supposed to do? I've never had a black person come in and apply for a job. Am I supposed to go drag them off the street and say you're doing plumbing now, whether you like it or not?
According to hardcore DEI advocates, you're supposed to just go on this. You're supposed to go to like a job fair where they're, you've probably been to a job fair before. These are people that they ain't got no skill, usually no skills. I'm not talking shit about them. That's just how their life panned out. And they're just like, I need something, man. You're supposed to take that person and train them to be a plumber.
But I
That's
thought
what
it
they
was really
say.
weird when this person, which was a white liberal woman, white liberal woman, asked me about this. I was like, ma'am, have you seen our company photo? I'm Hispanic. Milton, who's standing beside me, is Hispanic. Alex, who's standing beside Milton, is Hispanic. Like, we're half Hispanic and half white. Like, what? Like, I can't just walk out on the street and pull a black person off the street and say, you're going to do plumbing now, whether you like it or not. We did that back in the 1850s, and that was called slavery.
Right.
Which, if you want to dive into slavery, we could talk about who started slavery.
Well, let's go.
But what I was getting at with all of that is it's crazy that in the grand scheme of things, the things that conservatives should be arguing over is so minute and so it's like I say this all the time about liberals, but I'm finding it to be more true with conservatives. We can't fathom that two things can be right at one time, and that's what's
Nuance.
bothersome. That's what's bothersome to me. And it's like I think you said there's steel man arguments and straw man arguments. It's like a lot of times conservatives start off with a steel man argument and it ends up a straw man argument. And it's like, hey, stop. Like, make your point, just make your point. And I cannot stand, and conservatives do it more than liberals. I can't stand the, well, what about? Well, what about?
What about
And
it?
it's like, yeah, and it's just like, dude, stop. Let's because I'm a firm believer in, are you trying to win the battle or are you trying to win the war? Battles make up a war. But ultimately, as a conservative, as a Christian, you should be trying to win the war. And you should start understanding that you're fighting from victory, not for victory. And when you understand that you're fighting from victory, because the battle's already been won, the war's already over. It's already been won. It's just what little time we've got left, we're still fighting battles, but the war's already been won. So when Christians and conservatives and whatever you want to call yourself, when you start understanding that if you are a true Christian, you're fighting from victory, not for victory, it gets a little bit easier to see and wade through the BS.
Well, let's go back to um there's a big problem you highlighted on the left and on the right. And you talked about, how could someone be celebrating a very good man's death? Like it's hard to find if you put out if you just watch his videos for 50 hours. It's hard to say it's a bad person, or it's definitely hard to say that person deserved to be killed and taken. His family taken, have their husband and father taken away from them. I'll give you an example. Stephen King, who is a very staunch leftist, he on X he posted something like, well, he advocated for
Yeah,
stoning gays, so he
I
gets what he
saw
gets.
that.
He didn't say he gets what he gets, but it's what basically what he was saying. Now, to Stephen King's credit, he did apologize like 5 times. I was lied to. I didn't know. I was wrong. I was wrong. And a lot of leftists won't do that, by the way.
Do you know why he did that though?
It's self-preservation.
No, he got called out.
Yeah, but there are leftists who will get called out and
Right.
be like
But
moralized.
Dave Rubin, who is gay, called him out and said, "Hey, man, hold up. Charlie Kirk has been over to my house numerous times and had dinner with me and my husband numerous times. He has never been anything but respectful, and not one time has he ever called for my death or my husband's death.
Well, that's
So you're wrong there, Stephen. And so then that's when Stephen King was like, "Oh shit," he
well,
did the
that
exact same
goes
thing they all do. "Oh shit, I got called out. I better issue my apology." Well, what would have been the real good thing to do? Say, "Well, if he was smart, he would have said, "Hey, Dave, I understand you're speaking from your experience, but your experience isn't all people's experience."
or how
You
about,
know?
"Hey, Dave, can you share me a video of his commentary on homosexuality? I would like to hear it for myself." But that gets back to the point I was wanting to make is we have a massive propaganda problem. And if someone has never seen a single Charlie Kirk video and 10 people tell them that he hated gay people and wanted to kill gay people, I can now more understand why they are celebrating his death.
Absolutely.
And you can take down the right too. Um, the propaganda for the right is, hey, if Israel falls, Islam's going to take over the world. How could you
Right.
be so stupid as to not support Israel? And
Right.
that's all they fixate on. They don't think about, hey, these people are saving you from the evil Islam have
Right.
a child pedophile ring to blackmail people. So you're both evil. You want me to pick one of the evils, and you think I'm a bad person if I pick the other evil. How about I pick both, neither of the evils? You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. Because
It's all
again,
propaganda driven.
two things can be right at the same time, you know?
Yeah,
And
Islam's
that's
bad. Also, a country that has a child pedophile global ring who blackmails politicians into making decisions that go against their people and get them killed is also evil.
right.
Both of those things are true.
Yeah. So that's what I hate, man. And that's why I hate like I man, I don't really argue with people anymore. I don't want to debate people. And part of that is because one, I don't feel like I'm going to get anything out of it because if the first thing they want to do is make me feel this small, dude, I'm 5'4". You're not going to make me feel any smaller than I already am. All right.
Been there,
But if
done that.
that's, yeah, but if that's your thing is you want to belittle me and you don't want to actually talk facts, then man, I don't really, there's nothing for me to learn from it. Again, I told you earlier, everything for me now is a learning moment. It's not a teaching moment. And a lot of people say, "Oh, well, how do you think you learn? You've been taught." No, that's not what I'm talking about. I it's from a personal standpoint. I'm not trying to teach someone something. I'm trying to learn from that someone. So like I wouldn't have to argue with you over why the University of Texas has the best college football program, storied program based on how many wins they have. What, they're either the first or second most winningest college football team of all time? Okay. But what would better serve me is if you were an Alabama fan for me to want to learn why do you think Alabama is so good? Because I already know why Texas is so good. I don't need to tell you. I know. So like that's my thing is I'm not trying to teach anymore. I'm trying to learn. I've
Well, you
spent
can
lots of years being the teacher.
you said you don't want to debate anymore, but you could go into debates specifically to learn.
And that's true. That is true too.
That's and if you know, if think about it this way, and I'm not trying to turn you into a debater, um, although that would be fun, that'd be cool. Um, think about it this way: if you stop debating, if there's a culture war, a spiritual war, that's essentially what a culture war is in a lot of ways. If there is a spiritual war going on, and you don't debate and converse these ideas, it's almost like your army is marching out to the field of battle and you decide to stay in the barracks.
Right.
Does
I can
that
see
make
that.
sense?
Yep.
So I think that
Absolutely.
people, especially someone like you who's been through some stuff in your life, everyone has, but you've been through a lot. And you were raised a Christian and your faith has been galvanized over time. Everyone's has. I think that as you get older, you go through more, you experience more things you once thought aren't true anymore. Some ideas you were taught are more true now. That's what happens as you age. That's why you have older conservative. You get more conservative. You get more faithful when you get older. I think someone like you has been through all that. You are like the hardened soldier, the 42-year-old soldier with battle scars, and all the young soldiers are looking to you like, man, if that guy's not going to join the fight, we're in trouble.
Right.
I don't want to fight either, or I'm scared to go out there. So I think it's I mean, dude, man, we're grown men. You are people forget that. They look at themselves as, well, I'm not very smart. I don't have very much money. Well, you are the person who moves the world. Anyone like Elon Musk moves the world. I move the world. You move the world. Your local sheriff moves the world. The guy at work, we're grown men. So who's supposed to move the world? Kids? No. uh, Women to a lesser extent, but it's the grown men, the people who have the ability to kill other people, the people who have the ability to stop other people from killing, the people who have the respect due to their whatever stature or voice or deeds. We're the ones that move the world. And if we choose not to move the world, someone else is going to choose to move it for us. And a lot of those people are going to move it in the wrong direction. So I think that me and you, people like us, grown men at this time in history, history never stops. It's always moving forward, and it's a continuum, right? History is not just backwards. History is always being written. I think that if we really do care about this world, our family, our country, if we really do believe in God and we know the implications of that, I think we have to go out there and do that. I mean, that's a big reason why I'm doing this podcast. I promise you this. Um, there are many times in my life, we had a podcast back in the day,
Oh yeah.
and my goal, it was never a stated goal, but looking back, I know what my goal was. It was to get famous and rich off of it. I never really said that or explicitly thought that, but I had no other reason to do it. I wasn't trying to change hearts and minds. I started this podcast because I actually do want to affect things. I don't care if I ever make money from it. I do want more reach because you can affect more, right? But
Right.
but that's a byproduct of my actual goal, which, I mean, quite frankly, is to kind of do what Charlie Kirk did and change minds and have open discussion and abolish terrible ideas and bolster good ideas.
Do you do you think it's hard for you when you debate or when you talk to someone to not score a point?
Yeah, that's a constant battle because if the other person when another person in a debate or an argument scores 10 points, you start feeling inferior. And you start feeling like maybe not I'm less than him, but you do start thinking, man, I'm starting to look bad. That
Right.
sit here and let this guy make 10 points and I'm just nodding and trying to be nice about it or whatever. I'm starting to look bad. I need to get him back. I need to get him real
Right.
big. And then it does become a battle. But I will say that there's an art to debating or discussing. And there's also, by the way, let me be clear, there is an official debate. There's a way to do it. There's a moderator. You get 2 minutes. A debate is
Right.
it's a real thing, like a car is a car. I'm not a debater. There's terminology for that. Like if someone said, well, what's your vote? State your vote. I don't know what that means. I'm not a debater, but also a discussion, a contentious discussion is a debate. So you know the distinction there. Well, so we're going to use the part B of the distinction, just a contentious discussion. If you are having a debate in that regard, if you simply let them talk and you do listen, you're like, okay, yeah, I see what you're saying. At some point, they're going to say something that is very easy to pick apart. So
Right.
what makes sense is if the somewhat reasonable things that they're saying, if you just keep letting them do it, and eventually they're going to talk themselves into a point that does not make sense. Talk about that. Just talk about that. Don't worry how many points they scored. And if you want to kind of make yourself feel better about letting them score 10 points and you getting owned, hey man, people watch clips more than they watch the episode. So just
Right.
clip out the one. Don't show the 10 times that they're making all their points and you're just listening to them. Clip out the one time where y'all actually had a relevant back and forth. So I would say with the modern format of how these debates work with podcasts and whatnot, don't worry about looking stupid. Let them talk. be respectful, and then when they hit a point that is a bad point, plug my own show there. When they make a bad point, stick on that and don't worry about for 10 minutes I let him talk and he was making good points and oh that's gonna look bad on me. No, it's not. Uh Clip out the part where y'all had where it wasn't just one person waylaying on the other person's ideas. Take out the part where y'all actually had a good back and forth that was relevant and just post that. You know, that's not dishonest. They can still watch the episode. You want them to watch the episode, but you don't have to worry about, man, I didn't win the argument. You're not supposed to win the argument. You're supposed to get to these contentious topics that you both have a good thing to say on. And frankly, I think that's the only way you're going to get those kind of farther left people to come onto your show is if they know you're going to let them talk. You know, you're not going to be pounding into them and trying to win the debate. And that is hard to do because, like I said, wrath is a sin and envy is a sin. You know, if you feel like you're losing, you're jealous of the person who's winning, you must deny all of these
You, you
tricky
know who Tim Pool is?
actions.
Do you know who Tim Pool is?
Yeah, yeah, I like Tim Pool.
Yeah, I love Tim Pool, and he'll tell you, like, he always tries to get liberals on his show, but they won't come on. They refuse to. And I have gotten into lots of arguments with liberals, and I've found that a lot of times if you just let them talk, they'll eventually hear how stupid they sound
It
and they'll
happens
just
too.
shut up. It's like when I argue with my wife, eventually I hear how stupid I sound and she's just kind of sitting there nodding her head and I'm like, "Yeah, all right, you won."
Yeah,
Like,
sorry about that. Just
yeah,
remember the
sorry about
first
that.
please remember the first 2 minutes, not the
Yeah,
last 6, 'cause I
I
was
did
I was I
not.
was cooking those first 2
Yeah,
minutes.
I apologize for
And
wasting
that's
both of our times.
and that's where you clip it out. You clip the 2
Yeah,
minutes where you're
yeah.
actually not
But
rambling and
no,
saying
like
dumb stuff.
I just I guess the older I've gotten, like, not everything has to be so damn loud, you know? Like, the older I've gotten, not everything has to be so damn loud. And I think, like, right now, it's just loud. It's just loud, and we're both sides are just trying to see who can scream over each other the loudest. And the thing that I liked about Charlie Kirk is he can scream. He can scream.
Yeah.
He can scream.
He let them talk and he talked back.
Yeah. You're good.
The whole concept of Christianity, concept of sin, it's about stop trying to feel good right now all the time. And so when you're in a conversation, a debate, you can feel good right now just by trying to steamroll the opposition, yell at them, insult them, but that has no long-term reward. It's actually negative. They're not going to come back. People think you're a jerk now. It's not good. And just like every other sin, it's like every other concept. If you cheat on your wife right now, you feel good, but long term, it's going to be real bad. If you beat up on someone weak and take their stuff, you feel good short term, but long term is going to be bad, right? It's the same thing with these debates and discussions. Uh, if you do it the right way, like Charlie Kirk did, you're going to have long term positive impact as opposed to that short term yelling at them, feeling good right now, and then of course you're going to feel like an idiot later, either an hour later, 2 days later, or a year later when you're looking back on it, or you start to see the
Right.
feedback you get for your style. So it's just again, man, whenever I like to boil things down, go deeper, deeper, deeper till I get to the root. It really does seem like I know we've been told this our whole lives, but time reveals truth. If you literally try to eliminate sin with everything you do, that's what you're supposed to do. That's how you get long-term success. That's how you have long-term happiness. And that's my endeavor. I will try to do that.
You know what one of my favorite sayings is you are where you are because you're supposed to be there.
Yeah.
And I think that for a lot of people that's hard for them to understand because they seem to think that they could have gotten to that spot where they're at in life without all the hardships that they had before it. But it's kind of like, well, how many times did you learn your lesson? How many times did you learn your lesson? You didn't. You obviously didn't because that's why you are where you are right now. And so I think we are as a country where we are right now because we haven't learned our lesson. We keep falling into this trap of we believe everything we hear. We don't, you know, and that's another thing, man, that I was telling me and my son were talking about the other day. Me and T were talking about is, you know, he was like, Dad, you know, one thing I admire about the way you parented growing up is you were transparent. You allowed me to question you. And he said, you know, and you always made it very clear that, hey, as long as you're respectful about it, I'll tell you everything and anything. And so when I would say, hey, it's time to go to bed, if he said why, I would say, well, because you have school tomorrow, and at school you have this test and you need to make this grade on this test so that you can make this grade for the semester. It's transparent about it. There wasn't no because I said so. And I think a lot of times right now our government is doing that and has done that for so long that because I said so, and now we have a group of kids who have been raised by parents like me, and now they're asking the questions, and now you're seeing that they don't like to be transparent. And I think that's where we're getting the heavy propaganda now, is because it's like, hey, if we all say the same thing, they'll quit asking the same question. And it's you know, and for me, it's like, no, no, we need to keep asking more questions. We need to keep asking more questions, and we need to keep pressing them. And you know, and so like, you know, a lot of people were so gung ho about the Epstein files, and then when they said, "Oh, we got them right here," they were like, "Hoorah, yeah!" And then all of a sudden they said, "Oh wait, there's nothing to see," and they were like, "Oh, there's nothing to see." No, no, they told us there was something to see.
Yeah.
Where is it? What is it? I don't care who's on it. I want to know. Just like with COVID, you know, they just said, "Wear these masks. Wear these masks and stay 6 feet apart, and everything's going to be okay." No, why? I'm a plumber. I bust concrete for a living. All right. OSHA says that I have to wear a certain mask when I'm busting concrete. Now, I know from science class that you can fit a lot of crap on 1 grain of sand, a lot of bacteria. So you're telling me that this cloth mask won't keep out sand when I'm jackhammering concrete, but it will keep out bacteria when a million of those bacteria will fit on 1 grain of sand. Make that make sense.
Right.
But when I asked that question, I was told, "You're being anti-American. You're not wanting to help people. You're trying to kill my grandma."
Grandma killer.
No,
Yeah.
no, no. I'm trying to make it make sense, because here's the deal. If we need to be wearing masks, I want to make sure we're wearing the right one, you know?
Well, let me say this, information is power.
And
Always
and
has
that's
been, always will be. Um, Socrates, who was well respected, he had power in 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 his time. Not physical. He didn't command an army. He wasn't a bodybuilder. Blah, blah. He had power because of his brain. Right? People respected what he said. But he asked too many questions, and then they said, "Hey, stop asking questions because it's heresy." And he kept asking questions, and then they said, "You've been sentenced to death for asking these questions." And so they brewed him a hemlock tea, and they made him. He gave a little speech. He drank it, and he died. Charlie Kirk, all he ever did was ask questions. He wasn't
right.
calling for assassinations. He wasn't calling for this or that. He was asking people questions. So asking questions is extremely important. And you know that because of the repercussions of asking questions from the powerful people who don't want other people to have the knowledge that comes with having questions answered. I think it's the most important thing in the world is asking questions. Who asks more questions than Candace Owens? And who do you think they want to kill the most? Candace Owens. She's got to have
They
the
hate her.
she's got to have Elon Musk security detail just to be at home. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's, she hasn't hurt anyone. She hasn't done anything wrong, but she's doing the most dangerous possible thing to the people in power, the evil people in power, and that is asking questions. So they can kill Charlie Kirk. They can kill Candace Owens, God forbid. I hope not. I love Candace Owens. She's very important, but they can't kill everybody. So
No.
what better thing can we as grown men, patriots, Christians, citizens who want this country to get better and not worse, what more important thing can we do than ask questions? All of us. Because if it's just me asking questions, they'll kill me. If it's just Candace asking questions, they'll kill her. But if everyone is asking questions, there's nothing they can do about it. Nothing.
This is what I've argued with people for a long time. We could literally change America in one day. We could change the government in one day if everybody just stopped paying taxes. If everybody would just stop paying taxes.
For sure.
Okay. But the question I always get is, well, who's going to go first?
Of course.
Because, well, if I see you don't pay your taxes and you don't go to jail, then I won't pay mine. But if I see you go to jail, then bro, I'm sorry, I got to pay my taxes because my kids need me. Well, do they need you more or do they need you less? Like sometimes making that sacrifice is better than not. And this is one of the things that really irritated me is people said, well, Charlie Kirk advocated for his own death because he said, sometimes we need some gun deaths to further you know what do you call further prove that we need the second amendment. And it was like, okay, well, do cars now, do trains, do planes. We're not all going to quit driving cars because we have a few car wrecks that kill people. We're not doing that. It's the same way with guns. It's the same way with planes. We're not shutting down the American airspace because we had a plane crash yesterday in Colorado. We're not doing that. No, instead we're figuring out ways to be safer. How can we make that plane safer? And this is the part that I do argue with conservatives a lot on is, well, how do we make gun laws better? You know, how do we make that better? But to argue that is, who are you to call me crazy? Who are you to decide I'm too crazy to own a gun? Somebody's got to, because I know you know somebody and I know somebody. We could all argue don't deserve a gun, don't need a gun.
I think you could fix, first of all, I'm sure you would agree with me. A gun is a tool like a hammer is a tool.
Exactly.
A car is a tool, like a knife
Exactly.
is a tool. So, and plus, we both know the importance of guns in America. It prevents tyranny, right? Um, so to me, the only gun law that you need is it's illegal to murder.
Right.
I mean, we got it covered. Beyond that, the gun issue is not a gun issue, because if guns didn't exist and you replaced it with laser eyes, like everyone can buy these little contacts that go in your eyes that can shoot lasers out of them and kills people. Um, is that a gun problem? No,
No.
it's the same problem guns have, and it's what people do. So if you want to fix the gun issue, you got to do two things. One, anyone who commits murder, whether it's with a gun or a knife or fists, if they can commit cold-blooded murder, not self-defense, whatever, cold-blooded murder, they get a trial within 24 hours. And if they're found guilty, they are executed on live stream uh, in an unpleasant way. Decapitation, firing squad, whatever. I mean, opinions differ. Like, it's true. Like, how bad do you want to stop? I
Right.
want to stop murder more than everything because it's the worst thing. It's terrible. Okay, well then we will torture them live on the internet. So that's a discussion. But if you scare people, like, man, I know that if I murder somebody, my life will end within 48 hours, and and my legacy will be, everyone will remember me as the guy that got murdered on live stream or got killed on live stream, whatever. So you have to, don't mess around with murder. Don't mess around with it. The repercussions are swift and gruesome. That would stop almost all murders, almost all of them. Number two, you have to change people's spirit, because if you have a good spirit, you will not murder. You have no
Right.
desire to murder. You have no intentions to murder. You have no incentive to murder because you have a good spirit.
Are you there?
So you do have to change people's spirits, and you do have to have repercussions for murder. Those are the two issues. It's not a gun
Hello?
issue. It's what people do with guns. You still there?
Yeah. I'm
Mic
not sure
check.
what just happened.
Can you hear me? Try to rejoin if you can. Exit studio and come back. Hey, what's up? What did happen? To me, your screen just dropped. I'm still in the studio. And then what happened? Try to leave the studio and go back into the link. There we go. Can you hear me? I'm not hearing audio. See if your mic is muted. Give me a second. Chris Ochoa's recording failed.
It said the microphone connection was lost.
I heard you. It said
Okay.
your recording failed, but then now it seems normal.
Okay.
Okay, so did you hear what I said about you have to, in summation of what I was saying, you have to punish murderers
Yes. Yes. I heard
quickly.
all that.
and make sure everyone sees it. And then number two, you have to fix people's spirit. You have a person with a good spirit. I always say Christian, an actual
Yeah.
Christian, because they don't do that. It's commanded by God. But if you fix people's spirit for however, one way or another, that solves that problem. And
But
we just have
man,
not
like,
we haven't our government hasn't done anything to fix this. They have not got cracked down on violent criminals. They have no interest in it, despite, Catholic schools getting shot up, elementary schools getting shot up, great people getting murdered in public, people getting murdered on the subway, and they're just like, "Oh, this is terrible. We've got to stop this." No, you have got to stop this. You are our government. We
right.
hired you to do a lot of things, including make sure we don't get murdered when we're taking the subway. Our
So
government doesn't care, man. Like, they don't I'm sure they care. They don't care adequately, because if you cared adequately, you'd do something about it. Like, I would love to make millions of dollars a year. I obviously don't care enough, or I would do something about it. You see what I'm
so
saying? Like, I
you live
care.
closer you live closer to the Metroplex. Did you hear about the guy who got beheaded at the hotel
Yeah,
the other
I work
day?
in Dallas all the time.
Yeah.
I know two people. One of my patients got murdered a few months ago. Little old lady got murdered.
So the guy who murdered that guy was an illegal immigrant, and he was actually had a warrant out for his arrest for a probation violation back in 2017.
And are we supposed to handle that?
Right.
Or is the law supposed to handle that?
The law's
Is
supposed to
the
handle it.
governing body supposed to handle it? Because if we handle it, now we are murderers. So we can't handle it and you won't handle it. Okay, then we've chosen a murdering society where everyone gets murdered, lives in fear. They're choosing that. That's their choice.
But you could even go you could even go to smaller things like texting and driving. How many people do you know who text and drive? How many people do you know who never look up the whole time they're driving because they're texting? And it's like, okay, well, you're going to kill someone if you do that. You're going to kill someone. And that's not right. You shouldn't do that. But it's the penalty's not stiff enough yet. So it's like, hey, well, I really, even though there might be consequences, they're not that bad. So I'll take my chances. All right, let's go even a little bit further down. How many people know you shouldn't be eating processed sugar? How many people know you shouldn't be, eating candy and Twinkies and stuff all the time because it's bad for you? It'll kill you. They don't care. They don't care. You know why they don't care? Because we've been propagandized to believe that it's going to be okay. It won't happen to you. It'll just happen to someone else. And that's crazy. That's crazy. We've been propagandized to believe that, yeah, it'll happen, but it won't happen to you. So it's okay. Don't worry about it. And I mean, there's so many things that you could hit points on, like I said, texting and driving, the foods we eat, the medicines we take, the air we breathe, the water we drink. I mean, it's crazy that we keep letting the government get away with what they get away with.
Yeah,
Like,
it really
it's
is.
crazy to me that we're led to believe that all men are created equal, but if you get in trouble for a crime and a government official gets in trouble for the same crime, your sentence is going to be a lot less stiffer. I mean, your sentence is going to be a lot more stiffer than his. And that's wild work, man. That is diabolical. That is insane that we as a society let people get away with that.
That's class warfare.
Yeah.
Justice is supposed to be blind. It shouldn't matter whether you're white or black or male or female. If you commit a murder, you get the death penalty. Like, oh, but he was from a bad neighborhood. Correct. And then he murdered someone, and we don't want murderers in this country. So he's getting the death penalty. It doesn't matter what color they are. It doesn't matter what they've been through. That's not, people say, man, he grew up without a father. His mother was a crackhead. He joined several gangs. He never had a chance. We need to show some compassion. How about compassion for all the people who will get murdered if you don't punish murderers? That they
Right.
don't matter. They don't matter. The little girls at school that get shot up because people know that murderers don't really get punished in this country, or they might get off because they're black or a female or whatever. That's misplaced compassion. You should have compassion for good people, not compassion for murderers. So just full stop.
Believe that there are certain circumstances that will cause people to do certain things. I believe that. I believe that. But when you take someone like the guy in Charlotte who had 14 previous arrests for 14 violent crimes and he's still out roaming the street and then he kills somebody, that's the justice system's fault.
Yeah, he should have been punished for the first violent crime.
Exactly. And
Now,
so
if he beat, you can talk about the nuances of like what crime, which violent crime should get which punishment. Maybe if you ran up behind a person and punched him in the back of the head and ran away as a joke, maybe you shouldn't get the death penalty for that, but you should be punished harshly for it, right? So if he
yeah,
was
and I
punished
mean,
harshly for his first violent crime and then more harshly for the second violent crime because of the pattern, then this murder would not have happened. 14 times, this murder would not have happened had the government, local government, cared about actual justice and protecting good people in the country. That's part of their job. That's a major part of their job. One of the most important parts of their job, it really all boils down to this, is taking care of us, protecting us, even borders, right? Like, why do you want to enforce borders? To protect us, to protect our economy, to protect our children, to protect our right to flourish in our own country. It's to protect us, and they don't care, man. They haven't cared for a long time.
I like when you argue, hey, why do you want borders? Well, it's kind of the same reason I lock my doors at night because I just don't want random people coming into my house. Oh yeah, but that's a silly point. That's silly. Okay, but how often does it happen? More than it should. More than it should. I'm the type of person that would argue, if it happened once, it's probably too many times, you know? Like, I mean, I don't know. I just, I think it's really weird that we don't hold our government more accountable for what they do. And we just say, well, that's okay, man. Here's the thing that I find most insane is that you have career politicians, people who have literally been in politics their entire life. Why? Why is that a thing? Like, and why do we keep voting them in? Why do we bitch about we don't like the way things are being done, but yet we vote the same people in?
Yeah, they shouldn't be able to be career politicians. Career politicians, I heard someone, I think it was Candace, she made a great point. These politicians, when their plan is to work for the federal government for their entire lives, they will vote in favor of the government, not in favor of the people. So if you vote for more regulations, more taxing of business owners, that just grows your company, which is the federal government, and you'll never have to pay the price for it because if you could only serve in the Senate for 4 years, you know that after 4 years you got to go back to being a civilian and you're going to have to deal with these taxes and regulations.
And
So,
not only that, you're gonna have to deal with the people that you lied to get into office.
yeah, you're no longer protected in DC.
Yeah. So here's my problem with Trump. Trump ran on this. I'm going to get rid of the IRS. I'm going to get rid of property taxes. I'm going to get rid of I'm going to release the Epstein files. Bro, what have you done? What have you done? Like, you didn't do any of that. That's what you ran on, and people like me voted for you because of that.
Yeah, major issues.
So,
COVID
like,
accountability, Epstein list accountability, CIA accountability.
so
Those
I
are
have a hot
some of
sports
the
opinion about
primary
elections.
reasons.
I have a hot sports opinion about elections. I think once you get elected, you have 120 days to start moving towards getting the stuff done you ran on. And if you don't, the people have a chance to say, "Yeah, you're not doing your job like you said you were. We're going to hold you accountable. We're getting you out of here
Yeah,
and
because
vote you out."
why should you have to wait 4 years hoping it will
Exactly.
happen? you
Exactly.
know,
Why should I have to wait 4 years? If your toilet was broke, you're not going to wait 4 years to get it fixed, are you? If your tire's flat on your car, you're not waiting 4 years to get it fixed.
if your country's broken, you're not going to wait 4 years to fix it.
Yeah. So
You
why? I mean,
shouldn't,
why do we? And really and truthfully, we could argue our country's been broke for the last 40 years.
for
Our
sure.
country's our country has definitely been broke since 9/11.
Hmm.
You know, like it's so broken. It's so broken that immediately after 9/11, we basically said we're so scared to live the way we are that we will give you all the information, give you 100% complete access to our lives, and you can do with it what you will when they signed that Patriot Act.
and that was,
That
if I recall correctly, that was damn near unanimous.
yes,
Like,
it
our
was.
representatives said, "Well, yeah, obviously, the people that voted for me are okay with you spying on us and taking away all of our privacy."
That was the most criminal act
Sin.
government has ever done to the human people.
Pretty terrible. Pretty, and it still happens, and no one seems to
And
care.
Americans just smiled and said, "This is good. This is good."
And then now that we have political assassinations, they're gonna justify using AI and Palantir to crank up the surveillance state,
Yeah,
which is
and,
bad because guess what? Every time the no matter what the reason is, 9/11, we're gonna become more authoritarianism to protect you. Charlie Kirk, oh, we're going to become more authoritarian to protect you. And then you make the government too powerful, and then all of a sudden a communist gets in power, and then that's when you're screwed. That's when everyone starts going to prison for your tweets, for your text messages, for your pictures. Oh, you took a picture with a gun in your hand. You seem like a violent extremist. So yeah, we're gonna take you in for a kangaroo court, and we're gonna sentence you based on what we think you are. Happens
have
all the
you
time.
have you heard that they wanna pass a law that if you speak bad about Israel, you could go to jail?
Yeah, Trump has parroted some of like I don't know if he directly supported them, but indirectly supported speech laws.
Governor Abbott did the same thing.
Yeah, Abbott sucks.
Yeah,
Yeah, Abbott's terrible.
Hot Wheels doesn't
Yeah,
stand
Hot
for the
Wheels.
national anthem.
Yeah, he's terrible.
I
He's just a cosplayer. Whatever, like when Ron DeSantis does something great, it, like in 2 years does the same thing because he saw the response to it. He's not a leader. He has no conviction. He's just trying to make his biggest donors happy. He's a terrible governor. You know, if it's between him and a leftist like Beto O'Rourke, well, yeah, give me Abbott. But I promise you, there's better candidates than Abbott. I promise you,
absolutely
probably
better.
1,000 of them, to be honest with you.
But you know what? I would argue that we are never going to get to see the better candidates that could be offered to us because there's always going to be those people behind the scenes who don't let those better candidates come to the forefront. Like the Democrats had the best candidate of all time running for them, and then she was just mysteriously pushed out of the way. Tulsi Gabbard. You know, she was just kicked out of the picture. And tell me how the one person who couldn't even get 9% of the votes in her own state was somehow decided that she was the best candidate for the whole country?
Well,
Like, that's wild.
ironically, the
Wild.
Democrat Party, which is, I guess, supposed to represent democracy and the importance of democracy, they don't even practice it themselves. They don't care who you want to be the candidate. They did it with Bernie too. Bernie was going to be the candidate at one point. I don't remember when, but he was going to be the candidate.
2016?
The DNC said no.
Yeah. They shot one of his people.
I
Remember
don't
that?
remember that. Mm-mm.
Yeah, they shot that Seth guy in the back in 2015 or 2016.
Got to send a message.
Yeah, and
Got to
so, I
let's
mean,
send a message.
I don't know, man, I think it's very scary. I'm very scared for my not scared, worried. Worried is a better word. Yeah, because I don't really live in fear, but worried that if things continue to go the way they go, it's not the vision that I had for the world that my grandkids would grow up in. And, that worries me. That worries me. And so, I do think a lot of times, man, what can I do to make this better? What can I do to and so it just all keeps circling back to, Chris, you gotta live a more Christ-filled life. You've gotta live a life that's pleasing in God's eyes.
I think
And
we have to put God first if we are in the position to do that. Understand someone who doesn't believe in God is not in a position to put God first. I wouldn't put you. Didn't put when I didn't know for sure if God existed or not. How can I put him first when I don't
right,
know it's real, right?
right.
So people like us have to put God first. We have to keep remembering that, and we have to keep asking questions. We cannot be silent. We cannot just accept things because we're too scared to speak out about it. We have to ask questions. But man, I'm going to end this. We went for a little over an hour. I'm trying to aim for around an hour for these things. We do have some technical difficulties. I do, man. These AI tools are incredible. I bet you I can patch it up just fine.
Yeah, I was gonna say you can edit that and patch
Yeah,
it up.
within 10 minutes. All right, man. I'll talk to you later. I appreciate you.
Alright, brother, we'll see you.
Alright,
All
be
right,
good.
bye.